and welcome to Tennessee's at-home learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all our second graders out there, but all are welcome to tune in. This lesson is the fifth in our series. My name is Mrs. Ledford, and I'm a second grade teacher at Prescott South Elementary School in Cookeville, Tennessee. I'm so excited to be your teacher for this lesson. Welcome to my virtual classroom. Before we get started, to participate fully in our lesson today, you will need something to write with and a surface to write on, and 2 pieces of blank paper. If you didn't see our previous lessons, you can find them on www.tn.gov/education. That's www.tn.gov/education. You can still tune in to today's lesson if you haven't seen any of our others, but it might be more fun if you first go back and watch our other lessons since we'll be talking about a text we read previously. Okay, let's begin. Today we are learning about metamorphosis and how that impacts an insect's lifestyle. At the end of this lesson, you will get to make an insect life cycle poster. Based on our reading today, you will determine whether the insect's life cycle is one of a complete metamorphosis or an incomplete metamorphosis. You will also make a claim of the type of metamorphosis that your insect goes through with reasons to support that claim. Your poster will be super interesting if you use some vocabulary that we've learned in previous read aloud lessons. Let's check out some new vocabulary words now. Metamorphosis. You say it. Metamorphosis. This word is a noun. The definition is the process of change taking place in 2 or more distinct stages in the life of an insect. An example could be tadpoles develop into frogs during a process of change known as a metamorphosis. You might also hear the plural form metamorphoses. The next word we're going to learn after metamorphosis is progression. You say it. Progression. Progression is a noun too, which means it's a person, place, or thing. The definition is a continuous and connected series of actions or events. An example is the progression of phases of the moon from new moon to full moon and back to new moon again follows a predictable pattern. You might hear the plural form. What do you think the plural form is? Progressions. Wonderful job. Boys and girls, what have we already learned about insects? Well, we've learned they have how many body parts? 3 body parts. Let's name them. Head, thorax, and abdomen. Very good. And how many legs do all insects have? Yes, that's right. They have 6 legs. Now remember, most but not all insects have wings. The cockroach in the previous lesson gave us a hint about the insect that I'm hiding, who will become the narrator of today's lesson. The hint that the cockroach gave us is that the insect holds its front legs like this. Do you have a prediction? Who do you think that insect is? That's right. The narrator of today's read aloud is the praying mantis, boys and girls. All right, so what are some of the stages in a human being's life cycle? Well, you're born and you're a baby, and then you're a toddler, a small child, and then you become a teenager or an adolescent. And then after you're a teenager, you become, what am I? An adult. Very good. So today, boys and girls, I want you to be listening because not all insects experience the same stages in the life cycle or the same stages of development. So I want you to listen about their life cycles and how they vary according to the types of insects. Also, listen carefully to be able to identify 2 different ways that insects develop and be able to name the stages of each of those types of changes. Okie dokie, let's get started. Here is our narrator, the praying mantis. Hi, boys and girls. It's time to meet one of the most fascinating insects on the planet. That's me. I'm a praying mantis, named for the way I hold my two front legs together as though I am praying. I might look like I am praying, but my incredibly fast front legs are designed to grab my food in the blink of an eye. I'm here to talk to you today about the life stages of insects, how insects develop from birth to adult. Many insects undergo a complete change in shape and appearance. I'm sure that you are already familiar with how the caterpillar changes into a butterfly. The name of that process in which a caterpillar changes or morphs into a butterfly is called a metamorphosis. You say it, boys and girls. Metamorphosis. Very good. So this is the life cycle of a butterfly, or the metamorphosis that a butterfly undergoes. And insects like the butterfly pass through 4 life stages in their life cycle: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Say it with me. Egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Now, each stage looks completely different from the next. The young never resemble or look like their parents, and almost always eat something entirely different. The female insect lays her eggs on a host plant. When the eggs hatch, the larvae that emerge look like worms. Different names are given to different insects in this worm-like stage. And for the butterfly, the larva stage is called do you remember what this is? A caterpillar. Very good. And I've got a picture of that for you. Here you go. The larva is called a caterpillar. Fly larvae are called maggots. Beetle larvae are called grubs. And the larvae of butterflies and moths, as you just heard, are called caterpillars. Larvae feed and grow as quickly as they can. They also molt or shed their hard exoskeletons many times as they grow. They do this because the exoskeletons can't grow with them, so they have to shed that old skin off to get bigger. In this way, insect larvae grow larger each time they molt until they are ready to change into adults. All right, boys and girls, what is a host? Do you remember what a host is? A host is an animal or a plant in which another organism lives. So the word larva is singular, but if I have plural larva, this is a tricky one because it's not a regular plural word. A regular plural word, we might just add an S on it, but the word larvae is plural. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to show you a different picture now. Does this look familiar to anyone? Gotta listen to find out what it is. Once the larvae have eaten all that they can, they take a break. Some people call this next stage a resting stage, but the larvae are hardly resting. That a larva spins a cocoon 7 times to protect itself during the pupa stage, when it will remain quite still for the next several weeks. Inside a shell-like covering, the pupa transforms or changes into something that looks altogether different than before. Some insects have a soft cocoon for the pupa stage, and some, like the butterfly, have a hard cocoon or like a case called a chrysalis. You say it, chrysalis. Wonderful job. All right, boys and girls. Now I'm going to show you a different picture. What do you notice happening here? The butterfly is emerging from this chrysalis. If you have ever seen a butterfly emerge from its chrysalis, then you know how extraordinary it is to watch the first flutter of its fully developed butterfly wings. Its wings were completely invisible before it disappeared into its seemingly magic chrysalis. It looks nothing like it did in its earlier stages, does it? Scientists call this progression. Scientists call this progression or series through the four separate stages, a complete metamorphosis. Say it with me, complete metamorphosis. That means it went through 4 stages to get to be an adult butterfly. I can't argue with that. Can you? The change is indeed complete. Butterflies, moths, beetles, and flies all undergo a complete metamorphosis. That's butterflies, moths, beetles, and flies. Go through all 4 stages, and that's called a complete metamorphosis. Now, let's look at another picture. So, as we look through these pictures, what do you notice? Not all insects change so completely. Some insects, young like mine, are miniature or very small models of their parents after hatching. They do change, so they do experience a metamorphosis, but because it is not a complete change, scientists call it an incomplete metamorphosis. You say it, incomplete metamorphosis. Very good, boys and girls. So if it goes through all 4 stages, it's complete. If they don't go through all 4 stages, it's incomplete. Nice job. So they do go through a metamorphosis, but it's not a complete change. They call it incomplete. Just like you, the young start off as a smaller version of what they will end up being. Just as you started off as a baby person and are slowly growing into an adult person, some young insects slowly grow and change into an adult. A praying mantis goes through 3 life stages. Okay, so they start with an egg and then they develop into something called a nymph, and then they go to an adult. In the autumn, the female mantis lays as many as 400 eggs inside an egg case attached to a plant. The tiny praying mantis babies emerge from the egg case. These brand new hatchlings, or nymphs, don't quite look like me, do they? A little later, the nymph resembles me more. The only thing it is missing is its wings. Even though you can't see them yet, there are tiny developing wing buds. These nymphs eat the same sorts of food as I do as an adult praying mantis, like flies, aphids, moths, and other insects, just smaller. Let's take a close look at one of these nymphs. Okay, let's look closer at one of the nymphs, the baby praying mantis. All right, what do you notice? Can you find its head? Right, very good. And how many legs are on the thorax? Can you count them? Very good. And can you see how many pairs of wings it has? All right. So what is the outside skeleton of an insect called? They wear their skeletons on the outside. What do we call that? Exoskeleton. Very nice. So the baby insect or the nymph is born with an exoskeleton. But these hard, non-living coverings do not grow with the growing praying mantis nymph. As the nymph grows, its exoskeleton splits open. And let me show you another picture. Watch this. What's happening here? That praying mantis nymph. The nymph just wiggles out to reveal softer skin that can stretch and expand before it hardens. It molts its exoskeleton again and again. Now, why is it molting? Because it's getting bigger, right? So it's molting again and again, growing a new one as many as 10 times before it gets to be an adult, before it reaches adulthood. The nymph stage often lasts all summer long. After its final molt, each surviving praying mantis has fully developed exoskeleton and full-grown wings like mine. Grasshoppers, crickets, and cockroaches belong to the group of insects that experience an incomplete metamorphosis similar to this one. So here are the insects that develop an incomplete metamorphosis. One more time. Grasshoppers, crickets, and cockroaches. They have an incomplete metamorphosis. An insect's life cycle is quite short compared to yours. In some cases, it only takes a few weeks. Scientists believe that is one reason there are so many insects on this planet. They are forever breeding and needing to reproduce rapidly because they have so many enemies. Not all insects, however, have short life cycles. There are two tiny wing buds, but they are hard to see on these pictures. Let me see. Oh, I'll show you that in just a minute. I'm sorry. I'm going to skip ahead and move to a different picture. Do you know what insect this is? Boys and girls, this is a cicada. Have you ever heard of a cicada? And this is a picture of its molted skin along with it. The cicada looks a little like a grasshopper and is thought to have the longest life cycle of any insect, ranging anywhere from 2 to 17 years. The adult cicada lays her eggs on twigs. When the eggs hatch, the nymphs fall to the ground and they feed on the tree's root sap. Cicadas undergo an incomplete metamorphosis, so there's no pupa stage. The nymphs remain hidden beneath the ground, continuing to shed their exoskeletons. Once they are fully grown, they make their way to the surface again, shed their skin one last time, and emerge as winged adults. For some reason, all the cicadas in an area emerge at once, either every 13 years or every 17 years. And when the cicadas all emerge, it looks like this. They fly everywhere and their calls are very loud. When hundreds of flying insects swarm through the air, their loud buzzing noises and the snapping of their wings make quite the loud noise. Next time we read, you will meet a new narrator. Someone who is a flying insect that also travels in swarms. Can anyone guess what our new narrator will be next time we read? I'll give you a clue. Bzzz. All right, boys and girls. So I want to talk quickly about each image that you see in this group of images. Some of these are all insects we've already read about. And each of the insects pictured in this group undergoes an incomplete metamorphosis, which remember just means 3 stages. So they just have egg, nymph, adult. Okay. Then I'm going to show you another picture. Oh, here we go. Here is the cycle. An incomplete metamorphosis. Egg, nymph, adult. Very good. Now, if we have a complete metamorphosis, you have the third stage is different. You have egg, larva, pupa, adult. Okay, boys and girls, so today what you're going to do is at home, you are going to use the read aloud that we just read, and you are going to get to create your very own life cycle poster. You can either use 2 sheets of blank paper. If you have one long piece of paper, you kind of get to choose because this is your creation. And you're going to use the information that we just used in the text, and you're going to draw a picture of the life cycle of one insect on a piece of paper. Now, based on what you just heard in the read aloud, you just completed, you will determine whether the insect life cycle is complete metamorphosis or incomplete metamorphosis. To add to your poster, I would like to challenge you to not only label the parts of your life cycle, but I would like to challenge you to write a sentence on your poster. And you're going to label the parts and you're going to write a sentence, and the sentence is going to be a claim. Okay, and the claim will be telling the type of metamorphosis. Let me give you an example. So if I chose a butterfly, I would draw all 4 stages and label them. And then I would even draw them if I was making a poster. And then at the bottom of my poster, I would write a sentence and explain that a butterfly goes through all 4 stages. So I know that is a complete metamorphosis. So if you're going to tell me it's complete or incomplete, I want you to tell me why you know that. So how do you know it's complete or incomplete? So you're going to tell me a claim, and you're going to tell me how you know. Give me some reasons to support your answer. Okay? I think it would be super interesting if you also included some pictures and even vocabulary words from today's read aloud. Or if you have saved our other vocabulary words that we've gone over, you could use those in your poster as well. Additionally, you can write down any questions you have about life cycles. And if you want to help ask an adult to help you research those questions, you can. Once you're done with your poster, I'd like to challenge you to share it with a member of your family or a friend and tell them everything you've learned about insects this far. All right, boys and girls, let's go back in the text just because I want to make sure that you have what you need to work on your poster. So I'm going to go back in the text, and I am going to show you some different pictures of animals that are insects that have incomplete metamorphosis. Let's see if I can find the picture. We've got, I don't know if there's a full picture that goes with it. We've got grasshoppers, crickets, and cockroaches for incomplete. And if you want to write this down with me, we can. So really quickly, on one of your pieces of paper, I'm going to write incomplete. I-N-C-O-M-P-L-E-T-E. Incomplete. I-N-C-O-M-P-L-E-T-E. Then now that we know how to spell incomplete, we should know how to spell complete. You just cover up the N. That's a prefix. Okay, so incomplete metamorphosis, that would be grasshoppers, You can write this down because you can choose more than one if you want to make more than one life cycle on your poster today. Okay, grasshoppers, crickets, and cockroaches. Whichever insect you're most interested in. Okay, and of course, the praying mantis. And then we'll go down and look at some that go through a complete metamorphosis, including the butterfly. So if you want to make a little spot on your paper for complete, you can write down some insects that undergo a complete metamorphosis. And that would be butterflies, of course, moths, and it's okay if you don't spell it perfectly. You can just write the sounds that you hear when you sound it out, okay? Moths, beetles, and flies all undergo a complete metamorphosis with all 4 stages. Moths, beetles, and flies. So just to help me remember, by my incomplete metamorphosis, I'm going to write 3 because that's only 3 stages. And then by my complete, I'm going to write 4 because complete metamorphosis is 4 stages. Okay, I want to help you out by going to end on this slide today. This is something that you might make your poster look like, where you draw the metamorphosis stages like a life cycle. And then remember to write 1 sentence at the bottom explaining your poster and whether or not your insect undergoes a complete or incomplete metamorphosis and how you know. Boys and girls, I cannot wait to see those posters. I know your wheels are just turning right now and you are getting creative. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. I have so enjoyed learning about insects with you today. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy making your poster, and thank you for inviting me into your home. I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson in Tennessee's At Home Learning series.